All right, on the back, it's saying find the surface area of that pyramid. So what we're going to do is going to draw that right triangle. We're going to say the height is the value that we've just found, so that's going to be 455.09, and we're going to say that bottom length is going to be half of that base, so we're going to say it's going to be 378. That means our hypotenuse across from the right angle is going to be our slant height. So make sure that's the value that you are solving for. So we're going to say, all right, we take Pythagorean Theorem, so a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Make sure you can substitute in those values for the variables. And so we're going to say, all right, we have our two legs, so we have 455 squared plus, and then we have 378 squared is going to be our slant height squared. So make sure you can type it in very carefully for yourself. Make sure you can get some values here. So we have 378 squared, and we're going to say, all right, take those two values, add together, and so we're going to say, all right, this is going to be a very large number because we're talking about a big area of space. Let's say about 9.1, and we're going to say that's going to be our slant height squared. So last step, find our slant height, take the square root of that value. So we're going to say second exponent to get our square root, and to do second negative to get our slant height. So we're going to say L, the slant height, is going to be 591.6. And so we need that to be able to find that surface area. So make sure you have that formula. So we say surface area is going to be equal to, we're going to say the slant height times the perimeter of the base divided by 2 plus the area of the base, which is that big B. So we have some of those values already from before. So let's kind of find that perimeter of the base as well. So we have, all right, draw that square base for yourself. We have the perimeter, where is it at? We have the perimeter of that base. P is going to be, that's a different one. Okay, let's do side length is 756. Okay, so since we have a square base, we're just going to say just add up all the sides to get that perimeter. So 756. So we can do 756 times 4 to get our perimeter. So we have 3024. And then the value that we did have when we solved for the volume, we said the area of the base, which is big B, is going to be that very large number. So we had, where was that at? This 5,000, or no, 500,000. All right, so we have our big B, we have our slant height, and we have that perimeter base. So all you have to do, plug in those values. So we have surface area is equal to that slant height times the perimeter of the base. So we have 3024 divided by 2. I'm going to say plus that big B, which is that 500,000. So we're going to say, all right, surface area, make sure to type it in carefully. So I have in parentheses those values for ourselves. You can make sure you can multiply carefully. And we say divide by 2. And then we can take that value, add the area of the base as well. So we're going to say that surface area is going to be, let's see, 466,035.2. Again, every 3 is that place value column. So we have 1,466,035.2, and then we're going to say feet to the second power. Again, make sure you're seeing the difference between that volume and that surface area. Volume to the third power, and surface area to the second power. And then in number 6, we're saying, okay, it stood 6 feet taller than it is today, so we're going to look for the original volume. So again, we're going to say, what was the height that it was before? So we found that height, and then we said, okay, we're going to take the let's say the original height. So it's going to be that 455.09 plus the 26. So we're going to say the original height was 481.09. So now we can take our volume formula. So we have volume is going to be equal to big B, which is the area of the base, times the height divided by 3. Plug in those values. So I have big B was this value here. So we have 571,536, and our original height is going to give us our original volume. So we're going to say original height 481.09, all divided by 3. So you can make sure you're typing that in your calculator carefully. So let's do like this. So 571,536, and we have 481.09, all divided by 3. So I'm going to say that original volume is going to be 916,53418.08 every 3. So very large number. Make sure you include those units to the third power since we're talking about volume. We've got 91 over 91 million, and then we have feet cubed. Okay, so then in that number 7 at the bottom, similar idea. We're going to say, okay, what's going to be that original height when it gives us the volume? So let's see. So we're talking about that pyramid there. So let's see, what was the, gives us volume. So we have volume equals area of the base divided, or area of the base times height divided by 3. And so we're going to say our big B is 49,843.6. Okay, so that was our area of the base, and we're solving for h, so we can just leave that b as it is, and what we can do is this: we can plug in those values that we have. So we're going to say this cubic feet, that's going to be our volume since it says at the third power. So we're going to have plug in our values that we have. So 783,00123. I have equals area of the base, so we have 49,843.6, still times h because that's what we're solving for, and divided by 3. So what I can do is that I can simplify it so that way it's a little bit easier to calculate. So that value divided by 3, and that's going to be what I divide both sides by to get our original height. So let's see, 166,145.33, and we can say times h. Make sure you get that variable by itself, divide both sides by that value. You can use that calculator value that you have so that way it's more accurate. So we're going to say divide both sides by that value. So I take my original volume, divide by that value that we had. Again, hit up on that arrow key to type it out for yourself. Hit enter again to get that original height. So we had, the current height was 448. However, the original height, so let's label it, the original height was that value that we just found, so 471.7 or 27. Okay, and we'll say feet. So that's going to be our original height for that pyramid. All right, number 8 and number 9, we're trying to find and compare those pyramids to figure out which has the greatest volume and which has the greatest surface area. So again, that's kind of why, if you notice how I have that surface area for each of those values. And so we're going to say this. So we're going to say, all right, our surface area for Khufu was this 1 million. So we have 1,466,035. Or sorry, that should be down here. So let's do that. Do 466,035.2 feet squared. Again, always check. I was about to write that feet squared, but since it's volume, it should be feet cubed. All right, so the volume for that one was, what would we say was that 86? Is that 86,700,000? And we'll say feet cubed. So we have our two amounts, and let's figure out what's the second greatest one. So let's see, we have that volume is 8 million. Okay, so we're going to take that second volume. So I take minus 74. So again, make sure you're very careful on those large numbers, but again, that's why you have your trust calculator, to make sure you drive it carefully. All right, let's take those two. Again, we're trying to find the difference in those two volumes, so that way you can find the remaining amount. All right, it's going to say it is, this is going to be, let's make sure you spell it. So Khufu is 86 million, however, Khafre is going to be that 74 million. However, the difference between those two, make sure it's lined up. It's going to say about 12,668,000. All right. So we're going to say, for this similar idea, we're going to talk about that surface area. So now we can take and compare those two. So we had surface area using those same, so it was Khufu and the Khafre are those largest two. So let's take the surface area. So we have 1,303,784. Take the difference of those two, and we'll be good. 1,303 on 784.32. All right. Again, just be very careful on those units, since we said for volume, talk about units to the third power. However, for surface area, talking about units to the second power. So we're saying that make sure you use those right formulas and make sure you can substitute in those values for those variables.